was a very dark time in a lot of our lives, because there came a time when the people that were left and the people that were still fighting, it was a small group of people, especially in our university, and it was easy to target people. And essentially most of what I really was invested in the last, I'd call it, I don't know, call it like the last fees must fall, because it's not, there should be more, but but like in the latter years, my main role was also dealing with the legal part of things. So not just dealing with the legal things, but like dealing with the police situation, and people were getting arrested left, right, and center. And on top of that, you then have to appear in court, because people weren't just getting arrested for fun. No, you were being arrested, and you had to appear before court, and you had to place bail. So it was arranging those types of things. And then came a situation where people were now not just being, held in the police stations, but they were being taken to maximum prison for 7 days. You'd be arrested as a student who was protesting for education and could only appear in court. Sorry, the ice cream machine is outside, so not machine, was it the ice cream truck? I don't know if you can hear them.
I can't. Are you do you want to jump up and go there now?
No. It's fine.
I'd want
He'll come back. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear it now. He's getting closer.
Okay, I can hear it now. Oh, dude, I haven't heard of those.
He has the jingle and everything.
Yes, right, like when we were kids. Oh,
exactly.
Good times.
But sorry, anyways, like I was saying, so then people were being taken to maximum prison, and you're in prison with actual, criminals, and you're being treated by the justice system as a criminal for protesting. You know what I mean? And for protesting for a just cause as well. So there was that, and then it became crazy. It just became one of the most insane things I think any young person should ever need to experience. And I think a lot of people aren't aware of those types of things that were happening in the background. People thought that, as we're saying, then we go and we toy. Then, but the real life on ground situation was that you could potentially get arrested and potentially be put into maximum prison and potentially have a criminal record. So us deciding to protest wasn't fun times. You know what I mean? You have to have, that's why I respect the deepest call. I respect the people that I was standing with, the people that I was protesting with, and I can't speak more highly of them. And if you even go into the media and you start seeing how seriously the government was actually taking these protests, they had aids, intel, money was spent to suppress the protest action and fees. So when you ask yourself why, I think it's because the implication of what we were asking for was far-reaching. You know what I mean? The implication was that we wanted African resources to be directed back to Africa. We'll just speak South Africa, but to be directed back to South Africa, and for our resources to be used to nurture our land. You know what I mean? We want the content that we're being taught to be content which is directly dealing with African issues. We no longer want to be looking at American economic systems, white economic systems, and look for solutions to our problems through those streams. So when we talk about decoloniality, we wanted an overthrow of a system. So that's why it was a very serious thing. People made it, and vilified protesters, but that's the whole game. The media houses who are putting the information out there are people who own the means of production, and we are directly calling for those means of production. We're saying we want those resources, we want those assets to be used for our good, for the good of our people. And we're saying that we want education to be free because we don't want to be classed based on our education system. We wanted to break those barriers, and I think we haven't achieved that completely, but it helps because we've opened the door, we've opened access to education. And we're saying that when we go back to our communities, we want to be able to speak the same language. There shouldn't be a class system which she went to varsity, she didn't go to varsity. We should all be afforded opportunities to go to varsity. But when Ampundo, the situation is so deeply entrenched, it can't start at tertiary level. There has to be a review, if I should call it, of the education system from the beginning, because students and the young people are being cut by the knees from the beginning. The mere fact that the standard of education from a government and a public school cannot even come close to being equated, and that you have to have I think they're called, not going to also these government schools, I don't know the proper terminology, but like, what are they called? Quartiles, oh Jesus, where they do the first, second, third, fourth, don't. I forgot the word.
It's okay.
But that terminology.
Yeah.
But that terminology. But it's classing people once again. So I think it's so there's so much more work that needs to be done. We're still gonna have to go back to ground level. And the education system needs to be fixed from ground level. And again, the call for free education also was a direct attack on the corruption that is taking place in our government system and in our government structures as well. And we were saying billions are being lost due to mismanagement of funds. And you're telling me you can't afford to subsidize education in a country, the future of a country. And this truck, sorry. And I think that, so I'm going to wait for it to go past.
Oh, dude. Is it nostalgia?
Yeah.
Is that the word?
Yeah, it's nostalgic. So the bottom line as well, and for me, the most important part of the call for free education at tertiary level was we want to produce the kind of people or the kind of students who, when they go out into the working industry, right, are people who are conscious. So when we call for decolonization of the education system, we are also directly saying that those individuals that we are producing, because currently we're producing the system as a white, patriarchal, sexist system. That means our education system is that as well. So that what we are producing, so it's a mass production of just white men, basically. So what we're saying is actually the decolonizing of the education is also indirectly decolonizing the working industry as well, and all of the different industries we're going to be going into. It can't be that year after year after year South Africa is producing thousands of engineers, thousands of architects, and land, whatever, spatial planning people, but our townships still look the way that they do. That no one has come up with the African solution for African problems. And those problems are started home. So what we're saying is by decolonizing our education system, we will be sorting out African problems. If you understand what I'm trying to explain.
Yeah.
So that was the major threat. The major threat is that we are wanting to now change a system that's been kept in place for so many years. And we're saying that as soon as we equip people with, the correct way of thinking and the correct way of approaching education and approaching their own education, we want decolonizing education as well, also meant taking ownership of your own education, being able to identify and, giving people some form of entrepreneurial skills as well. So that when we go out into the space, our outlook is different. Yeah. And it's not Eurocentric anymore, because our problems aren't the same. A Eurocentric based education system can never, as much as we'd like, it can never, ever serve an African people. It will continuously serve the same system, the same white monopoly capital it was created to serve.
Oh. But yeah, she said something like that, though, that we need African solutions for African problems. And I didn't listen to him when he said it, though. But he said that to me a couple of months ago. And now it makes so much sense, dude. I'm just listening to him like, oh my goodness, this is some crazy stuff, right? Oh my God, where was I? Oh my God. Oh, dude, this is...
But yeah, I
Whoa.
think in essence, that's what Fees Must Fall was. And people weren't aware of how deeply entrenched the core actually was. The core wasn't just a call for free education because we want everything handed to us. It was a call to overthrow a system that's been oppressive to us, a system that we didn't recognize, a system that didn't identify with us, and a system that marginalized us. And we say it was just a no to a system that wasn't for us.
Oh, dude, I could write a whole paper about this conversation, dude. This, oh, I'm in shock, bro. Oh, dude. Oh, my word. Thank you so much for that. See now, oh, dude. You have no idea. Sure.
You're welcome. I
Moving
never thought
on.
I'd talk about Fees Must Fall ever again, but here I am.
Nah, dude, this is stuff we need to know because I was still in high school and I just thought, free education, but this is it's deeper than what we think it was, and that's stuff that they don't want us to know. And it's
Yeah.
good that we know these type of things, because I didn't know that at all. I just thought, you know, so wow, thanks for that, man. Um, what would you tell your 18-year-old self about, you know, about if you could go back and tell yourself something about the future or what to not do, what to do, what would you tell yourself back then?
18. So what was I doing as I was in matric?
Yeah,
so
yeah, you
after
would matric.
after matric.
Or in matric, something like what, like before you went to university, because obviously our experiences, like university and high school, are like totally different, and they can try to
Yeah.
prepare us for it, but I don't think it's something they prepare us entirely for or prepare us enough for. So, what would you tell yourself? If you could go back now, just be like, "Yo, Rethabile, listen, dog. This is how it is."
Yeah.
You know.
I think the first, one of the biggest blessings, if I could call it, in my life that I've had, which I've had to discover, as a blessing, is to just always know that I'm always exactly where I'm intended to be.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm not anywhere by chance,
Yeah.
that I'm not anywhere by luck, that everything that I have worked hard for, I'm where I am because, as a direct fruit of my work, as a direct fruit of my labor.
Yeah.
I think what happens to a lot of us when we get into the working space, imposter syndrome takes over. That's something that I went through a lot, and it's a really difficult thing where you question yourself. And when you're in a white dominated space, a white male dominated space, not only does it come from you, it comes from other people. People will say that you're only where you are because of BEE, as a black female. Meanwhile, there were 5,000 people, 5,000 females fighting for the position you're in. So regardless of, BEE, it's just reminding myself I'm exactly where God has intended me to be. And even though it can be extremely hard sometimes and it can feel like, and you'll ask yourself, did I get here by chance? Was it a fluke? Because I don't think I can do this. Finding the strength and the courage to say that to yourself and to remind yourself that you are just exactly where you are intended to be and exactly where God is leading you to be.
Yeah.
To become the person that, the Lord intends you to be. And I think the second thing would be to always follow, my passion, always follow my convictions, because I always believe that your convictions are placed in you for a very specific reason and they feed into your passions. And they are a tool as well that helps you drive your passions. I think it's hard you can't be passionate about something if you're not convicted about it either. And I'm the person I am, I'm the character that I am. There were times where my character had to be broken down in order for it to be built up again. But that was also because of my convictions. My convictions led me to growth as well. So to always follow my convictions and keep my convictions as well, because there will be people who will take those convictions away from you. And without you knowing, you can be in friendship groups, and those friendship groups because of, for example, if you're with people who don't share in the same convictions, then you start questioning, oh, is it really something that I should really be touched about? But those convictions are purposefully placed to fulfill your goals, to fulfill your passions, to fulfill your dreams. So to keep those and to protect them as well. And convictions are heavy things. It's not easy things that you can shrug off. If you're convicted about something, you will dedicate everything. I sometimes remind myself that I put my career on the line because I was convicted by the call of free decolonized education. I put everything on the line for it. And those are convictions. And I am who I am today because I went through that experience. Because I learned whatever I needed to learn from that experience as well. And even though I believe it broke a lot of us to just the absolute core, a lot of people turned to all sorts of things as comfort and as, to still feel grounded and to still feel like, no, man, because when you go through the process of becoming conscious, you go through the process of becoming sensitized and becoming Black conscious, a lot of you has to die. A lot of you has to die, and you become to realize, and the more you realize your position in society, it comes with depression as well. So it's not an easy journey for anyone to go through, but whatever your conviction or your convictions are, stick with them, protect them, and pursue them, every single chance. And don't let a single chance go by, because I think you'll regret it at the end of the day. And some chances will get by, to be quite honest, but I don't think it's something to beat yourself up over about. But yeah, I think those are the two things that I'll remind myself, that I'm exactly where I'm intended to be, and to protect my convictions, and to be convicted allow myself to be convicted by my convictions.
I'm gonna take that. Sure, that's some powerful stuff right there, man. Thank you so much, Ritz. Wow, dude. This is one of those conversations I wish I could just keep on having and just listening to you. We should meet up for coffee. Okay, you're too busy for that. Never mind. But like, I'd love to sit down with you and have another conversation one day and just get to know more.
No, I've never done this thing.
It seems like you are, but dude, this is the stuff. This is what I live for, man. This is why the channel is here, dude, to learn, to just get some wisdom and learn from those who have done it, are doing it, and will do it. And I'm really grateful to have you on the show, and to just hear your story, and to hear, and just learn so much about, Fees Must Fall. And dude, this is just one of those conversations where you're just like, wow, like, where have I been, type of thing. So thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm sure the audience will also appreciate this and enjoy this as I have. And yeah, man. Also, one more question. I hate you. Let me stop saying I hate bringing this up. I have like, okay. Do you? I feel like I want to ask this question, but I'm so scared. So, like, please tell me if I'm
just ask it.
If I'm out of line, please do tell me. But don't be afraid. It's not something like very inappropriate. I just want to ask, like, do you think as a Black community, dude, we take mental health seriously? I mean, I know we don't, but like, we don't pay much attention to it, right? And like, what's your stance on that? Because I know it's something we don't pay attention to a lot. And like, this is a conversation I've been meaning to have with so many people, and I'm just curious as to how you think we could bring more attention to that, because it's stuff that as a Black community we ignore, and we can't do that, because I feel that it's the reason why there's so many, like, so much hurts in the Black community, that why men, I guess, like beat up their wives and stuff like that, And the truth is that it stems from apartheid or apartheid. I don't know how to pronounce it properly. I'm sorry. It stems from like poverty and all of those things, and it's sad that we ignore it because it's the reason why we're in the situations we are right now. To be honest, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, I just wanted to ask to get your take on that because it's I've been thinking about it for so long, and I'm just like, bruh, one day if I have enough money, I'm just gonna go to black communities and just give out free therapy, bro, because bruh, it's deep, dude. I think, I think it's deep. But like, what's your stance, man? What would you say about that? What's your opinion?
Yeah, I think you are right. I think a lot of the issues that we experience as a Black community stem from the psychological trauma of our existence. I won't even get into what that entails. Just our existence and our position
Yeah,
in society. The same way that you can link crime to poverty is the same way that you can link our psychological trauma and years and years and generational trauma that gets passed down
yeah,
to some of the ways in which it manifests. And in some cases, as you said, it will manifest in abusive partners, etc., etc. I think your question then being whether we take it seriously. I think as a new coming generation, I appreciate that we're becoming a lot more open about it, and I appreciate that there's a sense of normalization that's of protecting one's mental health, and the younger generation are taking it seriously. It For the older generation, they will speak of mental health differently. I think they can understand what it is, but their understanding of it is very different from our understanding of what mental health is. And therefore, the manner in which they respond, I think, directly stems from their understanding of mental health. That's why sometimes it'll go back to, oh, someone has been bewitched, etc. They're just dealing with trauma. You know what I mean? Umuntu, when they leave home and go live on the streets, and then there's trauma there that occurred that just goes unaddressed. And I think the issue in our community was things that went and were left unaddressed and have now caused the generational trauma. But what I'm beginning to see personally from my position is that the younger generation, and even the generation below me, my generation, if I should put myself up there, are a lot more vocal. They're a lot more comfortable having these types of conversations. And I think that's what's important. And people are more willing now to deal with their trauma and more willing to come forward with their trauma. What we now need to do is we now need to create safe spaces for people to lay their trauma out, and safe spaces for people to talk about their mental health. Personally, as someone who has had some mental health issues, we need to be safe spaces for one another. That's the important part. I mean, it's not easy to go and try and undo generations and generations of miseducation and all sorts of things. But I think from here onwards, I believe it's going to get better. I believe it is getting better. And I'm so proud. Like, I have a younger sister who's a 2000. And sometimes I look at her and I'm like, well, I'm so impressed with just the level of being in touch with themselves that the 2000s are, and them being vocal about things. And I feel sorry for the corporate world, because when that generation comes into the corporate world, they're going to change a lot of things, and they're going to demand a lot of things to change, which is, I think, has been difficult for us to get right. But I'm always just really proud when I look at the upcoming generation, and I'm hopeful and optimistic about the future, and I'm optimistic about the future being in their hands. And us, obviously, Nami, this it's still in my hands. But
you're not that old, dude. Come on.
I feel like I feel like I'm tired now. I feel like I'm tired. I'm like, I buy again, Benzo.
I will, bro. You still have time. You're 38, dog.
I'm like,
come on.
Buy again. So yeah, I don't know. Like I'm very optimistic, man, especially about these types of issues. And I think we're going to see we'll see a lot of improvement. We'll be better for it. I think that's it. We are definitely going to be better for it. And and I think our parents are also starting to see the change in the younger generation, which is quite nice.